Oh boy, fanboys and fangirls, OnePlus has found themselves in a little bit of a twilight zone because coming up on today's episode, the OnePlus 9 and the 9 Pro have been caught. They have been caught. OnePlus, the company, has been caught by the benchmarking apps for manipulating test results and throttling performances for certain apps, and they are now banned from those specific apps. And for any of you trying to defend this like you did with Apple, here is a different scenario, and here's the difference between Apple and OnePlus in this story, and why OnePlus needs to be held accountable for this, and why I am here to say that this confirms this is not the same OnePlus that we know. All that on today's episode and more, so stay tuned. So story number one, the main story, the biggest story that is going to make some waves probably today, OnePlus getting caught. Now, I just want to clarify that I, myself, am not going to bash OnePlus like I did with Apple, because I'm not going to look at Apple in the same light as OnePlus. They're both need to be held accountable, and Apple was held accountable and they faced the consequences. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did to Apple that I'm going to do to OnePlus. So I'm being fair to both parties. But this story is very interesting, and the entire tech world has kind of woken up and seen what has happened to OnePlus recently. And honestly, there's no more hiding. OnePlus is declining, and now it gets even worse. According to many outlets and future proofs that are coming out pretty much every day, the OnePlus 9 and 9 Pro have been the voice of controversy because there have been videos and performance tests run by actual developers and smartphone makers showing their attempts that the company has been throttling the performance to not only manipulate what consumers see, but in reality, they're actually not the accurate speeds. According to several tests, that there was a weird behavior. There were former different tech YouTubers that have come out with performance tests that show the different variants of when they update the phone versus to when they didn't, and also taking a look at OEM's performances based on the website. Now, considering all their phones have a Snapdragon 888, you would think they wouldn't need to throttle it right away, would you? Well, it looks like that is the case because OnePlus has been caught by the benchmarking apps, and because they've been caught, and because the evidence is now starting to come out, they have been banned by all major benchmarking apps. Now, I say all only because there have been a few big ones to come out and ban them, but it seems that they are still continuing to receive bans from other benchmarking apps as well. Now, this is a very big thing, because if you guys don't remember, Apple was in the same boat. The difference with Apple is that they didn't get away with it. They got served, they had to pay money, and they got caught. Now, Apple's excuse was the same thing similar to OnePlus, power efficiency. They claim by reducing the speed of the apps that this would help with performance and long-term overusage of the device. But here's the thing, guys. You see, I could argue if they were doing this to older models, because if they were doing this to older models, then I'd say, you know what, there might be a case to be made. But you're doing this to your current flagship. You know, does that make sense to you? Doesn't make sense to me. Now, considering Apple did this to older iPhones, we could make the argument that yes, these devices did age, and they did age significantly. But the thing is that regardless if they're doing it or not, they have to be transparent with their consumers. They have to notify, and that's what happened with Apple. That's why we have the battery app. That's why we now have battery health. We have more customization in settings to throttle the performance and keep it at high performance. Apple got caught and they got to pay. OnePlus, on the other hand, has been doing this multiple different times, and this isn't the first time. There is more evidence. I'm going to leave links in the description, and I am telling you guys, OnePlus was caught doing this previously. So to all you OnePlus fans that are starting to make your excuses and starting to come up with justifications, look at it this way. Apple got caught, they had to face the punishments, and they are doing their time, meaning they're paying fines. They're still appealing to the courts and still going on about this to this day. OnePlus has been doing this for a while and they've never gotten caught. Now that you're doing this to your flagship, you're doing this to a phone that is not even a year old, and you're already throttling performance and you're hiding the numbers and making them seem, I'm sorry, but you need to be held accountable. You shouldn't be getting any special treatment just because you're OnePlus. Just like Apple, you need to be held accountable. And the tech world, I think you guys should hold them accountable. You should be in no way, shape, and form throttling performance of any kind on a new smartphone. If you were doing it to a 3-year-old device, then I'd say, you know what, there might be a case to be made, but it's still not excusable, but I can understand. But you're doing this to the OnePlus 9 and the 9 Pro. Are you seriously going to tell us that that device is incapable of performing at high peak performance when you, the company, has come out for many years saying we never settle? You know, this is what amazes me about companies. You think you'll get away with it? Well, guess what? You're not going to get away with it, because now you're getting banned, and what's probably going to come, some moron's going to go out with a lawsuit saying that his performance has been throttled. Well, listen, I don't want to go that far. I'm not saying there should be lawyers or whatever involved, but listen, whatever happens, happens. But my point is this. OnePlus, this confirms what we've already known. You are on the decline, your sales have proven it, now you're starting to show your colors by throttling it, and your statements, whatever you want to make, you know, it may be good PR for your fans, but to people like us in the business world, we understand what this is. You got caught, and you got blatantly caught, and everybody's calling you out on it. So at the end of the day, I'm going to say this. To all of you trying to make excuses for OnePlus, that is the reason why there will be no repercussions. You need to do what you did to Apple and hold them accountable. Let them take responsibility for their actions and do right by their consumers. Because as of now, this is not the same OnePlus. This is not even the OnePlus that came to America. This isn't even the OnePlus that made waves. This is just a company doing what every other company has done, and nobody will defend it or basically make any excuses for it, because you need to be held accountable. So that's my take on the OnePlus 9 Pro and 9 situation with the whole throttling and stuff. I don't think it's acceptable just as much as Apple did it. So both companies, just as much as you did to Apple, you need to hold OnePlus accountable. That's my opinion. If you disagree, you can totally disagree. I have no problem. And if you want to defend OnePlus, be my guest. But that is why you're part of the problem and why things may never change. Story number 2, moving on. Let's go now to Oppo. Now, Oppo I haven't really talked a lot about in a while, so it feels kind of good talking about Oppo again. But according to some outlets, it seems that Oppo is working on a gaming smartphone. Now, we've known that Oppo was going to do that, but we didn't know exactly when. Well, we have some official images from 9one Mobile, and it seems that this gaming phone is going up against Asus and other PR companies that are trying to get into the gaming smartphone industry. Now, the phone itself looks like your standard gaming smartphone, but the cool thing about it is that it has a nice display, very good cameras, it seems, in a nice array. It also seems to have a thicker build to help with cooling and heating, but it also, and I love this about it, has the headphone jack. So let me tell you guys something. If you're gonna push that your cameras are the best, you need to have a headphone jack, because if you think YouTubers are gonna film on those things, you need a headphone jack. The fact that gaming phones understand gamers better than smartphone makers understand photographers and video makers says a lot. So I am actually very excited for this Oppo smartphone for gaming, whatever they're doing. I really am excited because we haven't seen gaming smartphones really make a haul. So I want to see them break through and more smartphones come through the barrier, even if it's not Oppo like Asus or others, because honestly, Razer, Asus, and other companies making smartphones with gaming performance, that is very cool. And especially their displays are awesome. Why not? Sign me on board. And the last story, the one we're going to end with, is of course the iPad Pros getting OLED. Now, according to many different news outlets, it seems that Apple is officially ready to pull the trigger in 2023. According to several news outlets and rumors, it seems that the supply chain is expecting Apple to make the debut for OLED panels on the iPads in 2023, starting with reportedly the iPad Pro, iPad Air, and then the Mini will segue as well. On top of that, continuing on, the touch bar ID, whatever, basically the touch bar on the Pros are going to be segue as well. For a while, we've known it was a gimmick. We know Apple's going to remove it. So you know what? It doesn't surprise me anymore. So Apple, you can keep that damn touch bar because it was a useless gimmick to get people to buy it. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. But in regards to the OLED models, I really am hoping that Apple definitely ups their game and they continue to make waves as they continue to up the OLED displays in all of their products from start to finish. So I will keep you up to date on the OLED's panel story, and I'll keep you up to date overall. And let me hear your thoughts down below about everything you've heard today in today's episode. And that's it for today's episode of Technoid. Now guys, really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, hit the like button. If you disliked the video, you can hit the dislike button. That helps circulate my videos as well. As always, everyone, thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in the next episode. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Take care, stay safe. I'm gonna go hide in my bunker before OnePlus fans come and find me. Thank you for watching, and peace!